Beg your pardon?
I have been well, but I haven't been used to it.
Okay.
For the help of my parents,
Mm.
I managed to get through it.
That's so great. We're looking forward to having a very, very, very great broadcast coming live to you from the Salt studios here at the Salt head offices located in Longoja, just opposite Liberty Secondary School next to the Longoja police station. Today the discussion is going to be big and we're going to be discussing children's lives during the closure of schools. You've heard it from the panelists. I'll let the discussion begin. Let me start with Daniela. I'm so honored to have you on the show. Let me start with Benzi. I'm so glad to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
All right, so let's start by understanding how have you tried to cope up with the closure of schools? Schools have been closed, and for so many years, we've actually been trained to keep under this safe society of school. So kindly share with our viewer out there different ways you've tried to catch up with your education even after when schools have been closed.
For me and my siblings at home, we normally do online classes, which also is not so good because at home, for us, there's so many gadgets around, so much noise. You can't concentrate as much as you're at school.
Okay.
Like, there's no gadgets or anything at school. But I'm doing well.
All right. Mark, let me talk to your brother. You're one of. Meanwhile, don't ask about the Jose, cause you know what mood we kinda in, right? Let's talk about you being during school closure. Children are at home, and you know one of the basic activities children really do involve in is sports. So how has the entire sports fraternity been affected by the closure of schools in Uganda due to the COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, in terms of how I've been affected, it goes two ways for me. First of all, being a school kid, and second of all, being a sports enthusiast. Mainly in sports.
Okay.
Because since the closure, we haven't been going to sports facilities and stadia that much. So we've had to resort to watching on TVs or on our phones online or just listening from the radio. But it doesn't feel the same as going out there and cheering your heart out for the team you love. Guess which one?
What?
So I hope the feeling of returning to stadiums comes back, as we've seen in the UK. The Brentford versus Arsenal match yesterday was something to remember. Even though it wasn't something to remember for most of the Arsenal fans, I'm still hoping that the feeling of returning to the stadiums will be back and better than ever, because we've got to make the most of it.
Definitely. I just like the hope you guys have. I'm not sure whether you've been there, hear them train all those things. I really fail to find it how football turns out to be really interesting and fun because the love is really too much. But joining us via Zoom, ladies and gentlemen, we want to listen from our panelists. Let me start with Namara. Kindly share with us your experience as a model and as a student. How has been your experience due to the closure of schools because of COVID-19 pandemic?
It has been bad for me. Closure of schools hit me badly because I remember last year when we closed school, it was on 2020. So I remember we closed on March. Then all of us were hoping they wouldn't close us down, but then they did. And then lockdown came, there was a lot of COVID, that's in closure of school, but now in the modeling school, I didn't go for a few months because by that time I had COVID and then I couldn't go and give it to anyone else. Yeah, that's how it has affected me badly.
You suffered from COVID?
Yes.
Share with us your experience. Many people out there have not managed to get the experience. We just hear people talk about it. Kindly share with us your experience as you're suffering from COVID.
It wasn't good for me. First of all, I was very sad, so I was feeling little flu, little cough. Then I was like, Mommy, please may I do a test? So we called Rocket Health to do my test, and the next day I turned out positive, and it wasn't good. I was kind of sad. So I was locked in a room for about 1 week till I was ready. Then I had to take my vitamin C, my medicines, all of them. I remember that they were somehow bitter, but I had to try it. And also I was very dizzy. I had a headache, but I didn't have hard time in breathing. Thank God. Yeah.
All right, we thank God that you're feeling okay right now. Good for you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, still via Zoom, we're joined by our other panelist. She's called Daniela Katrina. She's the second runners-up Mini Miss Africa 2020, and she's also a student from Green Hill Academy. Let her share, as a queen, as a beauty queen, and as a student, how has COVID-19 affected the fashion industry, and you as a personality, how has it affected your career? Kindly share with us.
I haven't been doing classes mainly, but now I do, and it hasn't been easy, but as you know, all we needed was encouragement from our parents, but all in all, I have managed to keep up because my schools has put in effort to give us classes so that we students don't much.
All right, thank you so much. That has been Queen Daniela. So, back to my guests in the studio. Kindly share with us different ways you've tried to cope up with the new normal, because you're right now learning via the net, or you're not even attending. For instance, you're a fitness coach, you're one who is doing a lot of sports, and stadiums have been closed. So kindly share with us the different ways you've tried to cope up. Let me start with the gentleman in the house.
Well, many of us have had to cope in different ways since COVID has affected us in more ways than one, and it's pretty much the same for me. Mainly being a school-going kid in Uganda. When COVID came and the closure of schools came in March 2020, we all had to take to virtual classes, and I've been forced to do homeschooling, which I believe is more of a step into the future than a step back into the past.
Definitely.
Because you get to be at home, converse with your parents about certain topics such as the schedule, the curriculum, and so on.
Definitely.
And we've all had to do virtual lessons, almost everything is virtual. E-homework, e-exams, which I believe is a real thing. It's out there somewhere. But that's only for city-going kids like me. What about the average school-going child in, say, Moroto?
Yes, I must be asking that.
They don't have access to fancy gadgets or even the internet. So I kindly advise the government to provide study materials for all those kids in different parts of the country, because I believe if they get enough education and learning it, they could be our way for the future, because we are the future. We are kids. We are the future.
We are the future. So you've talked about you, because you're one who has experienced both the school environment and also homeschooling. What do you prefer?
Well, to be honest, I honestly prefer homeschooling.
Okay.
Although the social aspect is a huge factor, the feeling of being comfortable in your own home, conversing with many parental figures in your life about some topics like schedules and curriculums, it makes you feel safer. And in COVID-19, we had to be isolated for a while, and I'm kind of used to it. So I believe homeschooling is a better option.
Okay. So if you're out there asking what's the better option, you got it from the man himself. He's going to be the next vice president. That's only to come in the next 15 years when I'm the president, right?
Yep. I'll be your second in command.
Definitely. All right, let me turn to Penzi. Penzi, you're one who is also told us about homeschooling. Kindly share with our viewer out there different other ways as a fitness coach you've tried to cope up with the diversing the challenges coming with the impact of COVID-19, most so the closure of schools.
Yes, as you can see, me as a fitness coach, I try to get my friends or people who live in Waziga that I know to try and come and do exercises, because kids are just sitting at home and all they do is eat and gain weight, and it just makes me feel so sad, because now there is lockdown, children don't really know what to do. So I want them to be like active, have an active mind, strong and healthy. Even though like schools are closed, they could find something to do, help around with chores at home, or do anything active to exercise, maybe in the morning, every morning when you wake up, or in the afternoon or evening, you know, like get up and be active.
All right, that's really nice. Okay, so we're joined by our panelists on Zoom. I want to talk to Queen Daniela. You're a beauty queen and you're also a school-going child. Kindly share with our viewer out there different ways you're trying to cope up with the different challenges and the impact of COVID-19 in as your home, most of due to the closure of schools.
I beg your pardon?
I want to know how you're trying to cope up with the different challenges and impact of COVID-19 while you're home due to closure of schools.
I do exercise every morning. I take a jog in the morning. I also help around the house. You know, like being active home is the only thing we can do now, because schools are closed and we don't have anything else to do. Some people are just sleeping, eating, and I don't know. Because the only thing I do is revise my books in case of an exam or test.
All right, let me talk to Namara. You are a model, and I understand events have been closed and also schools have been closed. So are you trying to keep in fit? Because I understand models must be good looking, they must be physically fit. Kindly share with our viewer out there different ways you've tried to cope up with the impact of COVID-19.
This COVID-19, it has been kind of bad since the second wave hit and we couldn't go for school. So we had online classes for let me say 1 month, every Saturday. It was also good, and what I'm trying to keep me fit during this COVID-19 is that I wake up at 5. On Sundays, I go with my mom for walking, and last time we did 10 kilometers, and I was impressed. Also, I've been trying to. I'm not this person who likes to eat a lot, so you can find me. Let me say I've eaten. Let me say a sandwich, like in the for dinner I can't eat anything. So yeah, that's how I've been kept fit. Been riding my bicycle, cause I love my bicycle and I like to ride it. I also go for long walks. Yeah, that's what I do for fitness.
I hope all of our viewers out there, most of the little ones, have got different ways they can try to cope up with the impact of COVID-19. Because we very much understand there is no more football, there is no more attending school, like there is limited of it, even if it's there in some point. So I must understand that our viewer out there has got 1 or 2 ways they can try to cope up with the impact of COVID-19. Back to my panelists in studio. Let me start with Penzi. I very much understand you're a fitness coach and you're one who advocates for children being fit. However much we're living with COVID-19, there is no more attending school, there is no more football, like there's no more social games in community. So help our viewer understand, how can parents out there, or even guardians of different children, try to keep them in good shape?
Well, I can say that parents out there shouldn't just let their children do as much as they want. because some children need to be disciplined. Like they might earn money or just get it from somewhere, or their parents can lend them, but all they'll do is waste it on so many candies and sweets, and it just makes them gain weight or something like that. So I want parents out there to know that their children should be fit and healthy due to this coronavirus, because if you're not fit or healthy, or you don't know like what to do, at least be active, because when you help in the house, you know, there's a lot of movement, so that's kind of like exercises.
Definitely.
Like, yeah. So children should not just sit there. And parents out there, I want you to know that children are more than just young kids to let them do whatever they want because they're young. And you want them, we all want us as children, we all want a better future, and you parents want us to have a better future. So start with being fit and healthy. Have a balanced diet,
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Penzi. I think parents out there and guardians, you've got different ways you can try to keep your children and your relatives in good shape. For now, we're taking a commercial break, but when we return, our panelists have advice to children, and they also have different recommendations they can offer to the government on how to improve the livelihoods of children even during the closure of schools. You can join the conversation on our different social media platforms as Salt TV Uganda, that's on Facebook and YouTube. If at all you have any experience about the closure of schools, you can reach out and send in your experience as a comment on our different social media platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall be going through them, and then later, when we return, a lot will be happening on the show. I remain your host, David Kachega, with us from the very start of the show. Welcome back from that commercial break. Before we went into the break, our panelists went ahead to introduce themselves. I also shared with us different ways they're trying to cope up with the impact of COVID-19. And also, we got to hear from them on different ways they're actually trying to cope up with school. Because remember, schools were closed as one of the basic techniques on how to control the quick spread of COVID-19, because schools are a collective center. I think we don't have to explain that more. We come from different backgrounds. So when we join up in schools, we can't identify where one is from. So if at all one is infected with COVID-19, God forbid, it can lead to the easy spread. So the president of Uganda, together with the entire Ministry of Health, they came up with closure of schools as one of the ways of controlling the quick and easy spread of COVID-19. That's why tonight we're discussing children's lives during the closure of schools, because we very much want to understand that, all right, now, children at home, how are their lives happening? How are they trying to cope up with their lives? Because remember, when COVID happens, it doesn't mean it's the end of life. There is more we still have to give. Great recognition goes to each and everyone that has made it possible on the show today, and shout outs to the International School of Modeling, together with the Kids Modeling Academy, for making this possible and organizing this particular live broadcast. Together with Soul Television, you're watching The Little Voice, and I'm your host, David Katerega. I'm a professional debater, advocate for culture and heritage, and children's rights activist. Still in studios with a great team of leaders, and some are also joining us via Zoom. I think you already know them. Should we do the introductions once again? She's called Penzi Ndegere, and he is the vice president to be the next 15 years. And that will only be after I become His Excellency David Katerega. You know what I'm talking about. He's called Max Sedabotenge. He's a sports analyst and sports personality. Then via Zoom, we joined by Daniela Ketra, who is second runners-up Mini Miss Africa 2020, and she's also a student from Green Hill Academy. And then also Kayla Namara, who is a student from Daffodils School. Thank you so much for being a great part. Those are our panelists, and we're discussing lives of children during the closure of schools. Just a quick one. Penzi, you're a model.
Yes.
So kindly share with our viewer out there how you're trying to cope up with, because you go to the Kids Modeling Academy, right?
Yes.
Kindly share with our viewer out there how you're trying to cope up with during the closure of schools.
Well, for me and my fellow modeling friends, we are normally doing like Zoom for the Kids Modeling Academy, and we get some projects to do, like, let's say photo shoots or like fitness photo shoots, or even advertising something, because that's what we did for some weeks back.
Okay.
Like they give us projects and they are fun and interesting, and you get to experience something new from the Kids Modeling Academy. Because for us, since we are in lockdown, we don't like go to basically see them in person, because like most of, let's say almost all of them, like maybe they haven't been vaccinated or something like that.
Exactly.
So we want to keep social distance and stay safe. So we're doing via Zoom. Yeah.
That's so great. So that's how different models from the Kids Modeling Academy together with the International School of Modeling are trying to cope up with their modeling careers. So let me return to Vice President. That sounds so nice. And just sounds nice because you know the president is in the house. Hey, yeah, it's David Kateriga. So, Mr. Mark, let's understand what kind of recommendation could you give to the government officials out there on different ways they can cope up with the education system of Ugandan children, regardless of their backgrounds? Because you said it, known that all children can access the fancy gadgets. So, kindly share with our viewers out there most of the government officials, different recommendations they can do to cope up with the learning system of Ugandan children.
Well, there's a lot of advice I have to give, but first, allow me to commend the government on the many feats they have achieved during fighting the COVID pandemic. And in terms of sport, congratulations to Team Uganda on bringing so many medals to this country. You have brought us pride as a nation.
Definitely. And you know, hard work pays, because did you see the good cars they got?
Yeah.
That was good for them.
If only I could run like that.
Definitely. Wow, they were so fast.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue. What advice do you give the government?
Well, first of all, I would advise the government to provide study materials for many kids around the country, whether be it Moroto, Arua, all those hard-to-reach places, so that many of them can get the needed education so they can survive in life and maybe thrive, not only survive, but thrive to make sure that this country becomes better in the near future. Of course, when you become president.
Next 15 years to come, you kindly keep that in memory. Next 15 years to come, I think I'll have all the, how are they called? I'll be fit. I'll have all the requirements, right?
Yeah.
And of course, we'll be vice president. All right, thank you so much. So let's return to our panelists that are joining us via Zoom. Queen Daniela, kindly share with our viewer out there different ways you believe the government can work to ensure that children thrive even during the closure of schools.
I would like to tell the government to provide school instruments to learn for children out there, because their next future should be very great and nice. So the government has tried so very many things to make this world, Uganda, a better world. So I'm asking the government to provide us with the instruments, because children out there are not learning, they're missing so much from schools. And I think in the future wouldn't be the one we would like it to be.
Thank you so much. Let me talk to a supermodel. Katrina, kindly share with our viewer out there what recommendation could you give the government in order to improve the livelihoods of children after the closure of schools?
What I want to tell the government to do is that they should like this COVID-19 won't go to stay with us. That's one thing that I've learned. And also I want the government and the people to work together. So we work together as one. Because if everyone works together as one, it will be okay and all those things. But what I tell the government to do, I don't want it on a negative thing, but I want them to open schools, because people have gotten early pregnancies, early marriages, and all those things, and we don't want that for our kids. So I want us to go to school, and that's what I want to tell the government.
Right, thank you so
And we
much.
also have to work together.
All right, thank you so much. Those are our panelists. So one thing I want to inform the audience, most so our viewers from all over the world, those watching us from the internet, and those that are watching us live on Soul Television. Ladies and gentlemen, schools are not only places for us to attain education as school-going children, but also they are the safest places. That's why in most cases, there are rarely or even not any cases of rape, kidnap in school or even around school. Therefore, schools provide something that is way beyond education that we receive. Schools are places where we discover our skills, is where we discover that we're talented. Schools is where we guaranteed of food security, which is not like at home. In school is where security is at its maximum. Therefore, that's why reopening of schools must not be thought of as a by the way or as maybe something that is not of that worth, but it should be prioritized because for all school-going children, every day they spend at home is accountable in some way or another, because at the end of the day, this is what we're going to put out there in the world. Today, we're waiting for 60 days to elapse for us to return to school, and this is only after a reasonable number of staff members and school-going children between the age of 12 to 18 has been fully vaccinated. However, the question also remains, this was after a great year was all spent because of the lockdown. For people who go to normal schools, they were not attending school, but this is again 42 days and another 60 days. Let's not drive into another year, because those will be 2 full years wasted that way for people who go to normal schools. So I believe our panelists here have great words to share to fellow kids, being that they are young leaders and they're already children looking up to them, particularly on the show. 1 or 2 words you could love to share to all young people watching us out there on ways they can cope up with their education even during the closure of schools. Penzi, take it away.
What I should like, I'm going to give some children out there some tips to be healthy, strong, and like you shouldn't just say, oh, finally school is closed, because at any time the president might open the schools. So then you'll start saying, oh, I didn't miss this, I didn't miss that. You should miss schools because there are chances that you haven't learned things, like lots of interesting things at school. They have planned so many interesting things at school for you, and you do not want to go back, which is bad for us children, because we need to know that we have a future before we start remembering about the past.
Definitely.
Because as children, we really need to educate ourselves, like, you know, revise books, even though we haven't opened schools, they haven't opened schools or something like that. Us children should find a way to be active and healthy and motivated to do other things than eat, sleep, watch TV, be on your gadgets, or do anything lazy. Because being lazy means that you're failing to make your beautiful future. If you start being lazy in the present, you will be very your future will be very poor.
Okay.
So.
Thank you so much, Penzi. Let me talk to Sydney. Almost all young personalities are looking up to you. Let me tell you, after the show, I got a lot of people who really loved you and were like, this guy is already a celebrity. So you're already a celebrity, you're already a star out there. So definitely people want to be hearing something from you, most of those that are involved in sports. What are some of the tips you could share with them during this kind of period?
Well, first of all, I would like for them to stay healthy, maintain a balanced diet, make sure you eat some fruits, some water once in a while, maybe a salad in between meals, because being healthy makes sure a healthy body equals a healthy mind. So I believe that the more healthy you are, the better you'll be in all your different fields of talents, and most keep before God, listen to your parents' instructions, maintain good discipline, because discipline is pretty much a cornerstone of your future. And most of all, stay positive and schools will return eventually. And besides, it's announced that this year will not be a dead year, it's gonna be your year, okay? So let's just stay positive, stay brave, stay strong, and also mass vaccination of kids will come too. So let's make sure that we're all vaccinated. Make sure you head out and vaccinate wherever you can. I'm talking to the adults too, because we need to make sure that everyone is safe for the opening of school, so that this doesn't seem like a rushed idea without any sort of foundation. We first got to vaccinate, make sure the schools are fit for standards, sanitary reasons, and most of all, let's make sure that we stay safe, observe the SOPs, sanitize, maintain a social distance, wear your masks in public places, because COVID can attack anyone, anywhere, at any time. So let's just stay safe, make sure that we're all right, and schools will open eventually.
All right, thank you so much. Back to our panelists on Zoom. Queen Daniela, in just about a minute, what advice could you give to children out there? Not only models, but all children in different diversities of life. Take it away.
Kindly be patient, because this won't last longer. This will go back to normal. If you are depressed, please talk to your parents. If you're stressed, talk to your parents. And also be healthy, be positive. Help around home so that you could be active each time. Don't be lazy, because if you're lazy, nothing is going to. If you're lazy, you're not going to be the person you want to be in future. It's not the kind of way you should be. And I'm advising all children there to always listen to their parents. Please respect your parents, because the time will come and you need them, they won't be there for you. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Let me listen to Kayla. I understand you're a student and you have peers of your age that are actually watching you on TV. What advice could you give to them in just about a minute?
What the advice I would give them is that to pray. Praying is very good, and also it's nice to have communication with God. And if you don't pray to God, you will, let me say, you will become idol and you'll be the devil's worship. You'll be the devil's workman. So what I'm telling people out there, to pray and please obey your parents. There's a verse, if you obey your parents, the first commandment says that if you obey your parents, you shall live longer. So if you don't want that, we'll say bye to you earlier. But if you don't want that, you stay with us for like, maybe say, until Jesus comes.
Definitely.
And also read your Bible.
That's so great. We will see until Jesus comes. If you respect your parents, listen to them and do as they actually tell you to do. And then above all, read your Bible, because we really believe that the Bible contains the basic instructions before leaving earth. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being a great company. In a special way, I send shout outs to my family. Yes, that one we gave us today is my sister's birthday. Guys, let's say hi to her.
Hi.
She's called Destiny.
Birthday.
She's called Destiny Chitiwa
Hi,
Nasolo.
Destiny.
Today she's turning 9. We're wishing you the very best. We're wishing you the very best. May you live to see yourself become more
Happy birthday.
successful. May you see yourself to become more successful, reach your goals, become richer, brighter every day that goes by, and taller, fat. Okay, not fatter. Is fatter healthy?
No.
I don't know. All right, beautiful people. Once again, I want to thank our panelists for making it. Thank you so much, Penzin Degire, for your company.
You're
We're
welcome.
very much honored. She's actually a fitness coach. She's a student at Clark Junior School, a beauty queen, and a model at the Kids Modeling Academy. The vice president to be in only the next 15 years. Thank you so much for your company. It's always amazing having you around.
It's great to be
You make me feel like gentleman, you know? All right, we're so honored to have you. He's actually a sports analyst and sports personality. There's something you always love to say. kindly give us your introduction, please. There's this is what I really love in your introduction.
Well, I am a young football enthusiast and analyst, brand ambassador, footballer, Ghana for life, and most of all, a philanthropist at my Mark Mutunji Foundation.
Yes,
Wow.
he has a foundation. So you should be looking. How can people get in touch with you via your socials?
Yes, Twitter is at Sydney_Mark. Facebook isn't working currently, but you can always watch my videos on sports and many other topics on YouTube.
Okay.
Yes, it's at Mark Sydney.
All right, and then great shout outs goes to also our panelists who are joining us via Zoom. Thank you so much for being a great part. Daniela Katrina, who was second runners up Mini Miss Africa 2020, and she's also a student at Green Hill Academy, together with Kyra Namara, who is a student at Daffodil School. Thank you so much for your company. We can't thank our dear viewers enough. Thank you so much for trusting us with the opportunity to be a great part of your morning. We're so honored to have you always. My name remains David Katerega. It has been an honor having you. I'm a poet, professional debater, an advocate for culture and heritage, children's rights activist, and I could love to also send greetings to Martha, Dotha, Prince Chabagu, Mr. and Mrs. Walugembe, and the entire family out there. If you know you're watching, I'm sending greetings to you. Thank you so much. People, you know, why people always want to send greetings to them. Like, they're like, we're going to write you a list so that when you reach TV, you put out the list and send greetings to all of us. But sure, that's not possible. But all right, we're so much honored for your company. Shout outs to the Kids Molding Academy for making this possible. Next week on the show, we will be joined by different queens from all over Africa as we discuss children's rights and how they've been violated and how they can be put back in place all over Africa. So make sure next weekend at exactly 9 a.m. you're watching Soul Television, because we shall be bringing you that live show to your screen. I remain yours truly, David Katerega, from the entire team here. We want to be saying